All right, listeners, get ready, because today we are taking a deep dive into Law 17 from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Ooh, this is a good one.
It is. It's keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability.
Now we're talking.
And a lot of you requested this one, so
Yeah, this is juicy.
it is. It's going to be a good one, I think.
Definitely.
So this law basically says that, we as humans, we crave predictability.
Yeah, we like to know what's coming next, right?
Exactly.
Mm,
And when that's disrupted, it can really throw us off balance.
absolutely. And that's where the power of unpredictability comes in. When you're unpredictable, it creates a sense of mystery.
Right. Like you keep people guessing,
Exactly. They don't know what to expect from you. And that can be a very powerful tool.
especially when it comes to power dynamics.
Right, because when someone's unpredictable, it makes them harder to control or manipulate.
It's like they're always one step ahead.
Exactly. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
So this law is all about being intentionally unpredictable.
Well, not exactly. It's not about being random or chaotic.
Okay, so there's a strategy to it.
Exactly. It's about being unpredictable in a calculated way.
Yeah.
You have to think several moves ahead, like a chess player.
Okay, so it's more like a game of chess than like a game of roulette.
Exactly. You're not just spinning the wheel and hoping for the best. You're strategically introducing elements of surprise to keep your opponent guessing.
So you're always keeping them on their toes.
Exactly. And that gives you a huge advantage.
Interesting. So how does this actually play out in real life? Can you give me an example?
Sure. One of the best examples that Green uses in the book is Genghis Khan.
Oh, yeah. The Mongol warlord.
Exactly. He was a master of unpredictability.
In what way?
Well, for example, he would intentionally spread rumors about the size of his army. Sometimes he would say it was much larger than it actually was to intimidate his enemies.
So like psychological warfare.
Exactly. And other times he would feign retreat to lure his enemies into traps.
Wow, so he was using unpredictability to outsmart his opponents.
Exactly. He understood that fear and uncertainty were powerful weapons.
That's amazing. It's like he was rewriting the rules of warfare.
He was, and it worked. He conquered a vast empire using these tactics.
So this isn't just some abstract concept. It has real-world applications.
Absolutely. And we see it all the time in modern politics, business, even personal relationships.
So how can we use this law in our own lives without, becoming a ruthless conqueror?
Well, that's a great question, and it's something we'll explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive. But the key is to use unpredictability in a way that aligns with your values.
Right, you don't want to become a manipulative jerk.
Exactly. It's about being strategic, not manipulative.
Okay, so how do we walk that line? How do we be unpredictable without being unethical?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something we'll delve into in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
All right, so we're back, and we're talking about unpredictability as a tool of power.
One of the most fascinating aspects of this law.
It is. It's really interesting. So in the last part, we talked about Genghis Khan and how he used unpredictability in warfare.
Right. He was a master of psychological warfare.
Absolutely. But this law isn't just about military strategy.
No, not at all. It applies to all sorts of power dynamics.
Like what?
Well, think about relationships, for example.
Oh, yeah. How does unpredictability play into that?
Well, when you're first dating someone, there's a lot of excitement and mystery.
Right, because you don't know them that well yet.
Exactly. And that unpredictability can be very attractive.
It keeps things interesting?
Exactly. But as relationships progress, we tend to fall into routines.
Which is comfortable, but it can also get a little boring.
Exactly. And that's when a little bit of unpredictability can spice things up.
Okay, so how do you do that without freaking your partner out?
Well, it's all about finding the right balance. You don't want to be completely erratic,
Right, that would be unsettling.
but you also don't want to be completely predictable.
So you need to find that sweet spot.
Exactly. It's like anything else in life, too much of a good thing can be bad.
So what are some practical ways to introduce unpredictability into a relationship?
Well, it could be something as simple as surprising your partner with a date night,
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
or taking a weekend trip somewhere they've never been.
Or even just trying a new restaurant.
Exactly. It's about breaking out of your routine and doing something unexpected.
So it's like keeping the spark alive.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's not just about romantic relationships either.
What do you mean?
Well, this law can also be applied to business.
Okay. In what way?
Well, think about companies that are constantly innovating.
Like Apple.
Exactly. They're always coming out with new products and services that nobody saw coming.
And that keeps them ahead of the competition.
Exactly. It's the same principle of unpredictability.
So if you want to be successful in business, You need to be unpredictable.
To a certain extent, yes. But again, it's about finding that balance.
Right. You don't want to be so unpredictable that you alienate your customers or investors.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and thoughtful about how you use unpredictability.
So it's like a spice. You don't want to overdo it.
Exactly. The little bit can go a long way.
Okay, so we've talked about relationships and business. What about leadership?
Ah, yes, leadership.
How does unpredictability play into that?
Well, the best leaders are often those who are unpredictable in a good way.
What do you mean?
Well, they're not afraid to shake things up, to challenge the status quo.
So they're not stuck in their ways.
Exactly. They're willing to take risks and try new things.
And that can be inspiring to their followers?
Absolutely, because it shows that they're not afraid of change.
So unpredictability can be a good thing in a leader.
It can be, but again, it's all about balance.
Right. Too much unpredictability and you just come across as erratic.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and intentional with your unpredictability.
So it's like a dance.
Mm.
You have to find the right rhythm.
I like that analogy. Yeah, it's like a dance.
So we've talked about a lot of different applications for this law.
And we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to do in the final part of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
All right, so we've talked about how powerful unpredictability can be.
Yeah.
And even how to, use it in our own lives in a good way. But what about the flip side?
Ah, yes.
What about when people use it to manipulate others?
Well, you've hit on a very important point because, any tool unpredictability can be used for good or for evil.
Right. So how do we protect ourselves from those who might use it against us?
Well, one of the key things to watch out for is when unpredictability is coupled with a lack of transparency.
So, they're unpredictable, but they also don't give you any explanation for their actions.
Exactly. They keep you in the dark. They keep you guessing. And that can be very manipulative.
It's like they're always holding all the cards.
Exactly. And they're constantly changing the rules of the game.
So you never know where you stand.
Right. And that can make you feel very insecure and anxious.
Definitely. So what else should we watch out for?
Another red flag is when unpredictable behavior is used to intimidate or punish.
Oh, yeah, like a boss who flies off the handle for no reason.
Exactly. Or a partner who gives you the silent treatment whenever they're upset.
Isn't that cool?
No, it's not. It's a form of emotional abuse.
So it's important to be able to distinguish between healthy unpredictability and unhealthy unpredictability.
Absolutely. Healthy unpredictability is about being spontaneous and keeping things interesting.
Right, like surprising your partner with a date night.
Exactly. But unhealthy unpredictability is about control and manipulation.
It's about making the other person feel small and powerless.
Exactly. So if you're in a situation where someone's unpredictable behavior is making you feel anxious or afraid, that's a big red flag.
Definitely. So what did you do in that situation?
Well, the first step is to recognize what's happening. Don't just brush it off.
Right, don't gaslight yourself.
Exactly. And once you've acknowledged the problem, you can start to set some boundaries.
Like what?
Well, for example, you could tell the person that you're not comfortable with their unpredictable behavior.
And that you need them to be more transparent with you.
Exactly. And if they're not willing to change, then you might need to distance yourself from them.
It's tough, but sometimes it's necessary.
It is. But it's important to protect yourself.
Definitely. So we've talked about how to spot manipulative unpredictability. But what about protecting ourselves from it in a more general sense?
Well, one of the best things you can do is to build up your own resilience.
What do you mean?
Well, the more resilient you are, the less likely you are to be thrown off balance by someone else's unpredictability.
So it's like having a strong core.
Exactly. You're less likely to topple over when the winds of change blow.
I like that analogy. So how do you build resilience?
Well, there are a lot of different ways. But one of the most important is to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth.
So you know your own value.
Exactly. And you don't let anyone else define it for you.
Because when you believe in yourself, you're less likely to be swayed by other people's opinions.
Exactly. You're more likely to stand your ground and make your own decisions.
And that's a powerful thing.
It is. It's the foundation of true power.
Wow. So unpredictability can be both a tool and a weapon.
It can. It all depends on how it's used.
And it's up to us to use it wisely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to protect ourselves from those who would use it against us.
Well said. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into Law 17.
I agree.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have learned a lot about the power of unpredictability
Me too.
and how to use it for good in their own lives.
Absolutely.
So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember,
The power is within you.
the power is within you. Use it wisely.